Remember when we were kids and mom or dad would stick their head in the room where we were playing in the evening and announce that it was time for us to brush our teeth and go to bed? On this week's episode, we'll talk about some research that mom and dad would be really proud of. I'm Jay, and this is Somnilopod. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I'm so glad you joined me. We all remember those carefree days when we were kids and we didn't really worry about when we went to sleep because we knew somebody would tell us what was up. Somebody would put their foot down and say, okay, you've had enough. Now is the time to go to bed. An interesting article that was published recently in the European Heart Journal sort of plays into that theme. One of the things they did was to look at about 88,000 people, and they looked at their medical histories for about 6 years, and they examined about a week's worth of their sleep data as well. And what they found was surprising. They looked and specifically controlled for the time of bed for the patients in the study. And what they found was that patients that went to bed between 10 and 11 p.m. had the lowest incidence of heart problems later in life compared to people who went to bed later. So, for example, if people were dozing off between 11 p.m. and midnight, they were about 12% higher at risk for heart problems later in life. And then people that stayed up even later than that, their chance of having cardiovascular issues rose even higher, up to about 25%. Now, we've talked about the effect that delayed sleep can have on our circadian rhythm. And affecting our circadian rhythm can have an influence on our blood pressure, because one of the things sleep does for us is to help us regulate our blood pressure. The blood pressure goes down at night, gives our system a chance to rest and relax and recuperate, and then it increases again during the day. So the scientists in the study speculate that part of what may be happening is that since we are delaying sleep, that it's affecting our circadian rhythm and could be influencing our cardiovascular health. One of the things that I found particularly interesting about this study was that they weren't just looking at how late people went to bed. They also looked at how early people went to bed. And this is what caught my attention because, as you know from previous episodes, I'm an early to bed kind of guy. And what they found was that those patients that were going to bed before 10 p.m., their chances of cardiovascular risk were almost as high as those people staying up past midnight. 24% higher risk of heart problems later in life if they fell asleep prior to that 10 to 11 p.m. window. I thought that was really interesting, and it sort of hit home for me because, as I have told you in the past, I like to go to bed early. Granted, I get up early, but going to bed early has been a thing for me for a long time. I have, since I saw this study, I have been trying to stay up just a little bit later and aim for that 10 to 11 p.m. Range that the researchers suggest. It's interesting because they mentioned that it's possible that middle-aged people, of which I am a part of that demographic, may have other habits and genetic factors that can be influencing their cardiovascular health, like lower stress and fewer work hours. So they do still think that the amount of stress and the amount of sleep time that we get with regard to the effect it has on our circadian rhythm is part of what is influencing some of that information that they have gotten. So I wanted to share that with you all. I thought it was an interesting kick in the pants that going to bed earlier could actually have an effect on our cardiovascular health. It's one of the things that I have always tried to focus on, or at least recently with myself, just because of my own cardiac history. I thought that that was an interesting study to be able to share. I hope that you have enjoyed that, and I hope that you are paying attention to your bedtime. Ultimately, I think that it is important to make sure that your overall sleep time is one of the things that you're paying most attention to. We can adjust our circadian rhythms to a certain extent, but I thought that it was an interesting finding for us to be able to just sort of tuck in our little wallet of sleep information and have that ready for the next time we come across a crossword puzzle that has something to do with cardiovascular health and circadian rhythms, because I'm sure that there is a question out there that it will come up and we will have the answer. So until then, I hope that this has been fun for you. Please remember to try to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And until we talk again, remember to try to make sleep a priority. Now, I do have to point out that with the holidays coming up, I may be a little hit or miss because I'm going to be taking some time off. So we may go a week or two without a new episode, but hang in there. After the first of the year, we will be back with some brand new episodes and brand new topics and a lot of more interesting sleep facts to cover. If you have any questions or suggestions, please reach out to me at j@somnilopod.com. Y'all take care. We'll talk again soon. Bye-bye.